Today was a pretty heavy day. We started with a tour of the Museum of Africa and then followed that up with going to the Apartheid Museum. And I think that's probably a great way to get this trip started. It gives you a real grounding and understanding of the history here and the founding not only of South Africa but the entire continent of Africa as a whole. And in order to understand places like Soweto and understand some of the other things that I'll be seeing or seeing later on in the trip, it gives you important context to understand the history here in South Africa. One of the most amazing things, perhaps, after coming out of the Apartheid Museum is that this happened so recently. This was 1994 that the first elections happened. It was only in the late 80s when there were all the uprisings and finally the government's kind of rather peaceful transition over into a democratic government. But in the span of 13 or 14 years, it's actually amazing how far the country seems to have come in terms of kind of getting beyond its past, trying to work forward, trying as best it can to drop some of the racial overtones of many of the policies and the institutions that allowed this to happen in the first place. Definitely one of the more interesting things about some of the neighborhoods we saw today, particularly in Soweto, is just the diversity in forms of income and the size of the houses. Some of them are these beautiful three-story, solid walls, security cameras, and the whole 9 yards. Of course, what's remarkable is that these houses, compared to American prices, are extraordinarily cheap. And then, on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, there being houses made out of, pretty much just canvas with a tin roof and like a metal gate outside, if you're lucky, and pretty big diversity of houses here. Pretty extraordinary amount of economic disparity too. Definitely pretty eye-opening, and one of those places where you kind of just want to stop as the car is driving by and just go talk to these people, understand their lives a little bit more, and also some way to help too. You kind of definitely feel like a privileged individual coming from the United States, taking a flight over here, 17 hours on this big 757 jet, and then rolling here and seeing how little people have. But I think also one of the more rewarding parts about being in some of these neighborhoods is that a lot of people are still really happy that children running around and smiling, and that never stops. People are still families. Seems to be a big priority here, and that is also really encouraging to see. And I think that goes back to the whole thing about happiness really has nothing to do with financial wealth. Financial wealth can certainly help, but at the end of the day, I think there are a lot more important things than your material wealth.